Let's get into where we are with PulseChain. So we are continuing to see Pulse kind of consolidate in these ranges up off of the bottom again. We've had that double bottoming range here over the last month or two. And I'm still feeling really good about how far we've come up off that bottom again. I mean, we never truly did hit the nut bottom from like August of 2023, nearly a calendar year ago. But we were down there, and we pretty much virtually scooped it up. I mean, we were within 20%. And I mean, really, we're not even all that far off now. But I've really enjoyed just seeing this more bullish action, at least getting us up out of the doldrums, maybe printing a couple of weekly green candles. We have seen PulseX just, dominate ratio-wise. I mean, like continuing to have its top ratio against Pulse, which I think is a really good sign for everything. But yeah, I mean, I know people are still feeling bearish right now in terms of just sentiment overall. Of course, there's fighting because when isn't there, Tangang and that whale Pulse account who just like his whole purpose on Twitter is just to like say negative Tangang stuff. I don't know. I mean, that stuff's always going to be there. And I think that's great that it is, because that shows how much like passion is on the chain. I don't care what side you're on. So that is good. But yeah, I'm liking where we're at overall. Sure, I would like to be prices to be higher, but I mean, it's chugging along, and I'm glad it's sweeped up off the lows. So what do you got the PulseX Pulse rate? Well, I'll just say all the prices real quick. So we've got Pulse at 4 zeros and a 446. We are seeing a little bit of a dip right before we went on the air as the whole market kind of dipped. PulseX is at 4 zeros and a 2.5. We have incentive at $2.56. Hex is at 0055, and eHex is at 0012. So yeah, let's take a look. I mean, wherever you want to go first. If you wanted to go back to that PulseX to Pulse ratio, we could do that and then just maybe look at the Pulse ratio to see like the leader coin of the pack and see where it's at. But there you go.
This ratio is crazy. I mean, it's at 0.56. We've come a long way, being a third of a token. Just what, a month? Well, a month and a week. Back at the 21st of June. Mm-hmm. We were at 0.4, less than half back here, almost, we were looking at 0.33. I guess it was a little bit back in March when we were back there, but still 3-to-1 to now we're at half. So mm-hmm. it's a little over that anyway. So yeah, this is a crazy run up. It looks good. And back to what Axis was saying, is these things could hit parity here pretty quickly, I think. And not sure that I like that as a liquidity provider for the PulseX pair. But I think if you play out this cycle long enough, and if you're in there as a liquidity provider long term, things probably will balance back out. And yeah, I'm not going to yank the liquidity at this point, because that would be just silly.
No, I don't think we're to that place yet. I mean, this is still, even though this is a top for the range, I mean, I think there's a way to go before. And we did, actually shout out to Axis in the stream we did last week. There's a couple of really good clips we've put up of us talking about liquidity providing and like when kind of your break even point may be on that. I highly encourage people to check that out. But yeah, that PulseX ratio, I mean, you could see in that chart, you don't have to go back to it, but you pointed out March. That was right before that big send-off that we kind of had, where the ecosystem ran up and a ton of money was injected into PulseX, and that's when that ratio really shot up. It retraced a lot of that move, but now it's just come right back up. So, yeah, quite crazy. Did you want to pull up the Pulse chart just for a moment? We'll kind of see like where it looks like we are. We are seeing a couple of weekly green candles here. And, we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, when one of those days when I don't remember the exact price, but we were again virtually at the all-time low of 00. I think it was 4 zeros and a 3.8 or something like that. Richard Hart did tweet like, "Hey, like don't look now, but the PulseChain's bottoming again. It's as low as it's been, since the SEC attack a year ago or whatever." I mean, he literally tweeted that. Yep. And boom, there we've come up off of it. I mean, I figured that would be a bullish tweet, whether it's just saying, "Hey, take a look over here to see what kind of prices you can get," or whatever it is. But yeah, you can see, I mean, we've come off that really, really nicely here, putting in higher lows. I mean, it looks pretty good to me. So yeah, what do you make of where we're at right here?
Well, yeah, I mean, we had a 45% run up there within what was that, 10 days, 45% up. And obviously right after that you've got a pullback of it's not letting me do it. Anyway,
probably like 20%, 15%. I don't know.
Yeah, trying to. Oh, it's not letting me.
I think it went up right into that range
17.
of
17.5%.
Yeah.
So I mean, honestly, in order to be healthy, some of these run-ups are going to have some sell-offs. It's just a matter of how quickly do the sellers get exhausted before it can do what it did again. I think many people weren't here for the original, to see Hex and how many times it ran up and it would do a double and then pull back 50-60% each time. I forget how many times it did it. I think it was like 11 times that we pulled back between 30 and 70% on each one of those run-ups. It just, like I said, it helps the sellers get out. They run out of steam. They're trying to play the market, and there are people that are successful at playing some of these dips. So, the traders, some of them will make out okay. A lot of them will get wrecked and probably left behind where they have to buy in at a higher price, which is another reason why you get a lot more green candles too. So these are healthy. I think this is healthy as long as we make a higher low. And then we can make another run up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're back up into things. And I literally think, what is this point? So where's the, I think we could easily be back to SAC level here in a few months, maybe April-ish, I think. I guess that's a little more than a few months, 6 months, but
I
as
think
long
it
as
could
we're
even be
making
before then, but definitely.
It could be. I think it really depends again on what Ethereum does. If that ETF starts taking off, a lot of the value is tied. It kind of transfers. The rising tide lifts all boats, kind of thing. And I think you'll see that correlate over to Pulse as well. So it's really going to depend on that. Now, this is looking, I don't want to say it's looking better than Ethereum is, but this previous, 3 or 4 weeks definitely looks better with this latest run up. So
right.
Yeah, I think it's looking pretty healthy. Again, as long as we don't pull back again to this level, it's looking pretty good.